Later this year, this camera will have been out for 4 years. And in a couple weeks, it'll be my 3-year anniversary with the Sony A7IV. So I'm gonna give you my thoughts on why this is still one of the best hybrid cameras you can get. Now, I've put it through its paces as a content creator, wedding photographer, videographer, doing corporate work, family stuff, travel, a whole bunch of stuff. So I've tested this thing out pretty hard over the last 3 years, and it has completely changed my career, my aspirations, everything. So I have a little bit of a soft spot for this camera. I do love the A7IV. It really played a big part in catapulting me to where I am right now. Being a hybrid camera means it can do both photo and video well, and myself being somebody who switches between photo and video, that's what I needed. So let's start with photo. For photo, we've got a full frame 33 megapixel sensor. So you've got plenty of room to crop in and reframe a photo when you're editing. Not as much as like an A7R5, but still enough for social media. Prints look really good on this. I've printed as big as 11 by 17 and it still looks great. Most of the prints that I do on this are 8 by 10, but even those few times that I have gone bigger, it still looks great. Now with photos, you've got that very snappy Sony autofocus, even with third-party lenses, because I am on a budget, so I don't always buy Sony lenses. And that's for everywhere. I've used it in studio with professional lighting and autofocus was excellent there. Detail looks great, very satisfied with it. And I've used it on location with just natural light and it's still able to perform extremely well. There's never been a time where I took it out and was like, I really wish I had a different camera for photos. This has been able to handle every single thing that I've wanted to do with photography. Colors look great right out of camera, and realistically, they need very little editing. Just depends on your style, I guess. But yeah, as a photo camera, the A7IV, excellent. Now for video, which is honestly what I use this mostly for, it's probably like a 70-30, 65-35 split for me with photo and video, or video and photo. The 4K is incredible. It's oversampled from 7K, so it looks pretty dang sharp. And 99.9% of the time, I'm shooting in S-Cinetone. So that way the colors look really good coming out of camera, and it still gives you enough data to do some color grading and get some good dynamic range. One of the things I want to get better at this year is shooting in S-Log, so that way I can have the full potential of the sensor, full dynamic range, full color grading. So I want to get better at that. I'm shooting in S-Log right now, so hopefully I'm getting better at it. But much like photo, the video capabilities of this camera, it's been very rare that I was like, I wonder how a different camera would have gone. A couple of things that I really like. On the top, you have those mode switches, so you can easily go from 1, 2, and 3, which I have set up for 4K 24 frames per second, 4K 60, there is a little bit of a crop, and 1080p 60 if I don't want to have to deal with that crop. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And again, autofocus, super sticky with, what are we talking about? Video. Super sticky with video on this thing. Even with fast moving subjects, there's maybe only been like 2 or 3 times that I've ever been like, autofocus missed on that one. Usually, I can tell it's the lens or it's me. It also has in-body stabilization, so you don't necessarily need a gimbal all the time. There's a lot of times where you can get some smooth shots just going handheld. I mean, you can't be shaking it like this. You gotta be slow, steady. But there's a lot of times where you can get away with not having a gimbal because of the in-body stabilization in this camera. Now that 4K crop, in 4K 60 frames per second, it will crop in 1.5 times. So basically that means if you have a 35mm lens on here, 1.5 times crop makes it about a 50mm equivalent. That is something you have to keep in mind, and that's why I have that number 3 as 1080p crop. 1080p 60 frames per second, so I don't have to deal with that. So overall, you can easily tell that this is meant to be a hybrid camera. Photo and video switch to easily go back and forth between the two, which I've been hired for enough jobs doing both that for me was huge. 3 custom settings for each one, great battery life, nice ergonomics. Couldn't be more satisfied with this camera. Yes, there's that 4K 60 crop, but I've got enough workarounds for it that to me it's not a huge deal. Noticeable, but not a deal breaker. When this first came out, there was a lot of talk of overheating issues. Me personally, I've only seen the overheat warning come on once with this camera, but it never actually overheated. Now for other Sony competition, the A7V is rumored to come out sometime in 2025. Depending on what that has with it and if the price changes for this one or what the price difference is between the two, it could be worth looking into that, or it could be worth seeing if you can get an A7IV on a discount when that comes out. The thing with rumors though, you don't know when it actually will come out. The A7C2 and the A7CR, those are both the compact version of this and the A7R5. they're going to be a little bit cheaper. The A7IV body only is about $2,400. The A7C2 body only is about $2,000, maybe it's $2,200. And the A7CR, that's closer to $3,000. I'm not going to compare them versus the A7IV in this video. I'm just gonna kind of mention them. The FX30, which is actually what I'm recording on now, you can get that for about $1,800. On sale, it's like $16. And the ZV-E1 for around $2,000. If you would like to see a comparison between any of those and the A7IV, let me know. I've got links to everything down below as well, so if you want to help a small channel out, although we're growing, we're moving. Like and subscribe for more. Let me know what else you want to see.